I am ready. I have everything ready for our first day. And as promised, the first day is going to be available for everyone, not only for those who registered for the 10 days, for all 10 days. I wanted you all to see how it goes. I wanted to share with you some interesting tips as well, so we decided that it should be public, at least the day one. So I hope you'll like this idea. Okay guys, few more minutes and we are going to start. I have an eyebrow here. I just did it a couple of minutes ago, and we'll try and discuss all the most important things. I will actually focus today on the actual strokes and how to draw those strokes in the best and easiest way for you. So every time when you are going to practice, you will be able to find the best position for yourself, and you will understand how to create the strokes in the most comfortable way. So this is our goal for today. Hopefully it will be very useful for all of you, as you understand probably that if it's not comfortable, then it's so difficult to actually create a nice stroke, right? So one of the things we are going to learn today is how to draw the strokes in the most comfortable way. I see all your questions, so in case you want to ask me something, you are very welcome to do so. And in a few more minutes I'm going to start the main topic, telling you about the main topic. Hello, hello. Thank you for joining me. I'm glad that I see so many of you here. Okay, I think that we are ready to start, right? So you see an eyebrow. I did this eyebrow a couple of minutes ago. This is something we are going to learn today. We are going to learn how to make a nice transition. But before that, as promised, I want you to explain how you are going to draw the strokes in the most comfortable way. So for those of you who are registered for the webinar, I'm sure you have already in front of you the paper and some pencils. For those of you who just joined me for this live, I would really encourage you to take a paper and a pencil. And the very first exercise I'm going to start with is I want you to draw just a nice circle, something like that. And in this circle we are going to draw the strokes. Before we start, I want to explain you a few important things about the strokes. Hi girls, thank you for joining me. There will be only two main movements you are going to use when you are drawing the strokes, and all those two movements you are going to use all the time, no matter what template you are going to do, no matter are you working on a client, or you are on latex or on paper, no matter you are left-handed or right-handed, there will be just two movements you should always use when you are drawing the strokes, so you are going to feel comfortable and you will be able to draw the strokes in a nice way. And those movements are either you are throwing something, so you are doing the movement like that, and it should be in a way like you want to show something to someone, or like you are throwing something. And another movement is when you are catching, so when you are going back towards you. So it's either away from you or towards you. When you are going to draw the strokes in just those two ways, you'll feel that it will be always very comfortable for you. So either you'll be drawing your strokes that way, or you are going to draw the strokes backwards towards you. Pay attention that whenever you feel not comfortable when you are drawing your strokes, it probably means that your position is wrong. So if you are trying to do the stroke this way, like you are going from the left side to the right side, or opposite, from the right side to the left side, it won't be comfortable for you to draw the movement, because simply we are not used to do those movements that way, right? It won't be comfortable to do that, and that's why your stroke will never look nice if you are not going to draw the stroke in the comfortable way. So once again, remember that you want to draw the stroke either that way or that way. And I asked to draw the circle. I'm sorry about that. Okay, I asked to draw the circle because I want us to practice on that circle, so you'll understand how this movement is going to help you. Here we'll have it in the center. And I'll take the red marker so you'll see everything what I do and how. And those two movements, again, remember that either we are going away from us, or we are going towards us. On the screen you see like I do it a little bit on the side, but you should imagine that I'm actually I'm like this, I'm on the side, and then this is how I draw the stroke, either that way or that way towards me. I will never draw my strokes, no matter where I sit and what the direction of the stroke is, like that. Right? So from one hand to another hand, if you see both of my hands here, I'm never going to draw the strokes that way, like in a horizontal way. I'm going to draw them either away from me or towards me, always. So once you have that circle, I hope that everybody is using already a piece of paper and a pencil or the pen. I want you to try and draw with me the strokes around the circle, and let's imagine that we are working now only with one movement, which is away from us, and you want to draw a little bit on your circle and you want to go inside. Then again with the next one, you want to draw a little bit on the circle and you want to go inside. One more, a little bit, and inside. Once you stop at this point, you feel that it's already not that comfortable because your movement goes more in a horizontal position, right? In order to make it comfortable, what we need to do is we need to turn our circle a little bit. So again, we would be able to do that exact same movement away from us, a little bit and inside, a little bit and inside. Then again, we are going to twist our circle, so it will be exactly in that same position that is comfortable for us to draw. And then we can see that we can do nice strokes again, a little bit on the line and inside the circle. Again, we feel that it's not comfortable, that we need to twist our wrist too much, and it feels like, no, I don't think I can do that. Or if you are going to try, you'll feel that, or you'll see that your stroke doesn't look that nice. It means that you need to turn a little bit. In this case, you are twisting your circle in order to find the best position for yourself to draw the strokes in the most comfortable way. Let me know, please, if that makes any sense to you. And I hope you are trying. If you are going to take pictures and share it in comments, I will be super happy that you are actually working with me. So please take pictures and show me your circles. We are going to choose the winner of the best circle after some time. I'm still here, just checking your questions. And please let me know if you have any, and please share with me your pictures. I'll be happy to see how you are doing with your circles. So I have still a little bit to finish on my circle. I'm going to twist it again so it will be comfortable for me to do the movement away from me. And I'm drawing a little bit on the line and another part inside. Usually when I draw my strokes, I'm drawing about a half of the stroke on the circle, and then another half goes inside the circle. Now we want to try exact same thing, but to the opposite side, because once we work on two different eyebrows, we feel that it's not that comfortable on one side and it's more comfortable on another side. So that's why we need those two movements. And now let's try and draw another circle, and let's draw another movement which will go towards us. We were doing everything away, and now let's try and do it in an opposite way. So what we want to do, we want to draw on the line a little bit, and we want to go towards us inside the circle. Again, on the line a little bit and inside the circle. Once it's not comfortable anymore, once we feel that we want to we need to twist our wrist a bit too much, it means that we need to twist our circle so it's comfortable to do that exact same movement which goes towards us, not towards to any other side, but just towards us. So it's either like that or like that, nothing else. When you are drawing your strokes, please always check that. If you feel uncomfortable, if you feel that your stroke is crooked or too straight or too curved or just not nice, most likely it means that you are not comfortable. And again, remember that you should either draw the strokes that way or that way, just of course with one hand, not with both. And then once it's comfortable, you will be able to do your nice strokes, I promise you. Okay, so let's finish the circle. I'm going to twist it a little bit more because I'm going to draw at that side. And look at my hand. I'm going to draw on the line and inside. So you see that this is my hand and my movement goes exactly how my hand goes towards me. On the line, inside. Then again, I'm twisting a little bit on the line inside. And I keep twisting my circle just to make sure that it's comfortable all the time I'm doing the strokes. And actually what you will realize when you are practicing on the circle is that once you look at your circle, you'll see that you've done so many strokes in a different direction. But you were doing exact same movement all the time. So it might be kind of surprising in a way, actually, because maybe you thought that you can only do strokes one way, not that many ways. If you look at your circle, you can see that there are so many strokes and all of them goes in different direction little by little, right? If you would just kept holding your circle in that same position without twisting, it won't be that easy to draw all those strokes in a nice way. So why I am explaining you that is because once we are working on our clients, again, we are working on two eyebrows, the right eyebrow and the left eyebrow. And when we work with our clients' left eyebrow, this eyebrow, first of all, of course, I need to tell you that when I work with my clients, when I do the strokes for my clients, I'm always sitting on the side. Always. I only sit at the back just a tiny bit for some parts, and I'm going to show you that a little later, but most all of the time I'm sitting on the side of my client, so I'm at the right side of my client. And if I'm going to draw the strokes on my client's left eyebrow, I'm going to draw all the strokes in that movement that goes away from me. And if I'm working on a client's right side, I'm going to be a little bit at the back, and that's the time when I'm going to use a different direction towards me, and all the strokes are going to go towards me that way. So once you'll try that, once you'll try these two movements, you are going to understand what I'm trying to explain you, and you'll feel so much better about working on both eyebrows, because usually there is a problem with almost all artists and students. They keep struggling with different sides, and sometimes they feel that one side heals in a bit different way. Sometimes they just feel that it's not comfortable to draw on one side, not that comfortable. So it will really help you to understand that there are only two movements you are going to do for your clients. And then, because your client is not a circle, you are going to ask me how I'm going to twist my client like I just twisted the circle. There is no need to twist your client, because of course all of you are working and have those special chairs with wheels. So this is when we are going to use those wheels and move a little bit around our clients. When we are going to work on our client's left side, I don't think there is a need to move almost at all, because almost all the strokes, they go one nice way, so it's comfortable for us to do the movement just away from us. And when we are working on our client's right side, then it will be time to sit a little bit at the back to start the strokes in the front. So we are going to draw the strokes towards us, and then little by little we are going back to our previous position on the side to draw the rest of the strokes. But once we'll start talking about the template, once we'll start talking about the strokes, of course I'm going to show you how you are going to start and how you are going to sit in front of your clients. I see that someone asked if you are left-handed. Everything is exactly the same. You are still going to use those two movements, either away from you or towards you, Just instead of using your right hand, you are going to use your left hand. And instead of doing the movement away from you for the left side of your client, you are going to do the opposite. You are going to do with your left hand the movement away from you for your client's right side. So everything exactly the same, just in an opposite direction. And in order to understand that, please try it on the circle, so it will really make sense for you how you should do the strokes on one or another side. But again, we are going to start with templates, and it will be so much easier for you to understand what I mean. Can you tell me if you have any questions, please, guys? So I'll know that everything is clear and we'll be able to proceed. I will just check the questions in the group, and then we will be able to move on. Oh, thank you so much. I see your circles, so it means you are working. Thank you. Let's see. I love your circles. How it feels? Do you feel that it makes any sense for you to draw on that circle? Tell me. I'm really interested. What do you mean by lots of people are waiting? What do you mean by that? I'm sorry, Sarah, I don't understand what you mean. Who is waiting where? Okay, let's move on. I hope that after some time you'll be more brave and you'll ask even more questions. Now, what I want you to do, I want you to take the marker or the pen Sarah, I have posted the live in the group, so it's available there. I am doing it in here, but I posted it in the group, so it should be really visible in the group as well. No matter where it comes from, but I posted it in the group, so yeah, it should be there as well. The video that I'm doing now, it will be recorded, and for all of you who have no time to join or who want to practice a little later, you'll still be able to see this video, and you'll be able to join and watch it later on. So don't worry if you really want to watch it and have no time at the moment. Thank you so much for all your circles. I'm so glad that you are practicing. No need to draw the circles all night, Diane. I hope that you are going to draw templates all night. This will be more helpful. The circle for you is just to understand how you are going to draw the strokes in your template. So yeah, half of the night spent for your circles and then another half for your templates. Okay, guys, I can see that everything is going fine. And now let's start with the strokes in the general, not inside the circle anymore, but just on the strokes in general. I will try to draw an eyebrow, so it will be clear for you what I'm going to do. And another tip from me is, that's an eyebrow, right? I just made it a little darker so you'll be able to see. Try and draw a huge eyebrow on a paper, and when you are practicing the strokes on your client, on the left side of your client, so you always want to hold your paper or artificial skin on the side. So this is how I sit on the side, and I'll move it a bit. Yep. You don't want to hold your paper or artificial skin like you are actually sitting on your client, as if you are going to practice that way all the time, once you'll have your actual practice with your client, it will be difficult for you to understand what you should do now, right? So always when you are practicing, imagine that this is your actual practice on your client, and to make it, to make the best experience, you always want to keep your pencils, your papers and your artificial skin on the side. So instead of holding it like this in front of you, right, just on a table like that, and this is my eyebrow if you can see it, you want to hold it like this on the side, and my eyebrow goes from the front to the tail that way. Does that make sense? So not like this, not like this is my client's face, but I want to see an eyebrow from the side, and this is how I'm going to practice, right? Just on the video on the screen you see it in a different way because it's the angle that is the most visible for you to see how I'm going to draw the strokes, but always imagine that you are on the side and an eyebrow is also on the side. Okay, let's draw a couple of eyebrows, and imagine that now we are working on our client's left side. When we are working on our client's left side, all the movements we are going to do will go away from us. So all the strokes from the front to the end are going to go that way, only that way, and no strokes are going to be drawn in the opposite way. We are going to start from the very beginning of the front, and we are going to go all the way up. So if you look very closely and if you'll pay attention at the way I'm holding my pen and at the way I'm drawing the stroke, I'm going to go just away from me. Again, another one, away from me. I'm not going to draw it backwards. I am going to draw the strokes away. Does that make any sense to you guys? First, we are going to discuss everything what's related with the strokes in general, and we are going to practice a little bit on a paper, because if you are not able to perform any of that on a paper, it will be very difficult for you to do it in the nice and correct way on artificial skin, right? So that's why I always like to start with the paper first, and then once everything is clear and all we need to focus on is the right angle and the right pressure and all other things, we are going to practice on artificial skin with the manual tool, and that's for today. And then tomorrow we are going to cover the exact same things, just a little bit different template with the machine. So yeah, today is our paper day and practice with the manual tool, and then tomorrow we are going to work and perfect everything with the machine. So those of you who has joined the marathon, you are going to learn both ways, but every day we are going to practice on paper a little bit, because you need to get those tips. You need to understand those rules, so it will be so much easier for you to take any tool, manual tool or machine or pencil or pen, anything, and draw the strokes anywhere you are. And actually one of the very good tools to practice with is an iPad with the pencil. So those of you who has an iPad, you are able to download. There are many different apps actually, and one of those, one of the apps might be like Adobe Sketch, for example. And in case you don't have a paper and a pencil, you are traveling somewhere. Well, we are not really traveling now, but still, if you are on the road, if you are anywhere without pen and pencil, but you have an iPad, it would be a really great way to practice. And it's easy to erase, easy to adjust how thick or how thin your pencil is. You can choose different colors and so on. I'm going to cover that a little bit in other days of our marathon. I'm going to show you how I use the iPad for my practice and how I am creating the templates on my iPad. So for those of you who are interested, and for those of you who has an iPad, it might be really useful. But clearly the iPad is not the tool that will be the most important for your practice. It's totally enough to have just pen and pencil. Okay guys, so let's discuss now how we are going to draw the strokes on our client's right eyebrow. Now I just showed you how you are going to draw all the strokes on your client's left eyebrow, and I'll finish it for you. Again, I just want to remind you that on our client's left side we are going to draw the strokes away from us, all the time away from us, and for this side it's always comfortable, and that's why we feel that when we work on our client's left side, it's always more comfortable than the right side if we are right-handed, and if we are left-handed, it might be opposite for us. Same when we do the strokes on the top. We'll discuss this step by step, but I just want to show you that we always draw the strokes away from us. And now let's do exact same thing, but for our client's right eyebrow. And again, I'll draw an eyebrow. And now, once we are working on our client's right eyebrow, we want to hold our eyebrow, we want to sit at our client's back, and we want to hold an eyebrow this way. The movement that we are going to start with, especially for the front, that will be very important for the front. We will always draw our strokes towards us. So remember, we were doing the strokes on the left side away, always like that, and it was all the time almost the same for the whole eyebrow, from the front till the end, right? Now, once we work with the right side, or if you are left-handed, it will be the left side for you. What we want to do is we want to draw the strokes towards us, always. And when we are drawing the strokes in the front, we are sitting just at the back of our clients. So this is our client and we sit right here. This is our client and this is where we sit. So we have an eye here. Yep, just of course our client is a little bit smaller than that, but anyway, we are at the back, we are here when we are drawing this part of an eyebrow. Once we did the very front, we need to remember the circle, and this is the time when we are going to use that helpful tip that we need to go little by little around our client to make sure that the movement that goes towards us is always comfortable. Because I'm sure if you'll try, if you are working on an eyebrow now, and if you are trying to repeat what I do, if you are going to try to draw the stroke here, and if that stroke goes all the way towards the tail, you'll feel that you need to turn your wrist so much to make sure that it goes in the direction that you need to, right? And to avoid that, that will be the time to go around a little bit around your client. And what we want to do, we want to go back little by little. So for the second stroke, I want to keep my eyebrow just like that. For another stroke, again, to make sure that it's comfortable for me to do to draw the stroke towards me. So I'm not changing my direction, I'm not changing my movement, I am changing the position which I use to sit in front of my client, or which I use when I'm practicing on a paper or artificial skin. Does that make any sense to you guys? So for the next stroke, it goes more that way, and then that way, and I want to be sure that I always do that kind of movement that goes towards me. Then another one on the arch, and then again this will go a bit that way. So I need to make sure that I'm drawing the stroke always towards me. Okay. Now, as we are drawing the strokes on the top, again, always make sure that you are in the comfortable position. Try for yourself, like just do a couple of times the movement towards you, and make sure that an eyebrow you are practicing with is exactly in a way you need it. So it's not that you need to adjust. You need to turn your paper so it will be comfortable for you to practice. And once you are working on your client, once you will practice enough times on paper and artificial skin, once you'll understand the way you need to sit around an eyebrow, it will be so much easier for you to do exact same thing on your model. So now again, this is my client and I am here. So I am again at the side of my client. I was only at the back for this part, for the front. I was only at the back. I was here when I was doing the strokes in the front. And now once I'm doing, you see that the direction is completely different. In the front the strokes are going up, and then from this part, if natural hair are growing that way, I need to change my position because it won't be comfortable for me to do it in the exact same way. So this is the time to go back to the side to make sure that our eyebrow is on the side now, and we are going to draw the strokes for the top this way, towards us, towards us, towards us. And again, guys, always remember the circle that I was showing to you in the very beginning. You want to draw a little bit on the line. So this is your circle. Eyebrow shape is your circle. You want to draw a little bit on that circle, and then you want to go inside. You don't want to start on the line and go straight right after. You want to draw a little bit, and then you want to go inside. And the last stroke will always go exactly where the shape goes. Tell me, does that make any sense? We already learned how to do the strokes on both sides, the right side and the left side. Here are two of the sides. Yep. Let me change it for you. Let me know if you have any questions, guys. And I'll check your questions in the group, and then we will move on with the template. Okay, so before we move on to artificial skin, I want to show you a couple of connections and how we can draw nice strokes, how we can connect one stroke with another. Of course, to all of you who are working with the strokes already, you know that there should be a particular distance in between the strokes. First, oh, thank you so much. I'm really happy to read your feedback, because I'll know then that I'm not speaking with myself and that it actually makes at least a little bit of sense for you. And for those of you who still thinks that it doesn't really make sense, I'm sure that once you try it, once you listen to the video again, and once you try and do everything I'm showing you and try it for yourself several times, it definitely will make some sense. Because of course, once you are watching the video, it's a bit different, and you need to understand that you see everything in an opposite way. So yeah, it's very important to understand it even better. It's very important to try. So if you are able, grab some paper and a pencil and try it, and then it will be even better. Okay guys, so for those of you who are working with the strokes, what I want to tell you first is that definitely strokes are not for everyone. And no matter what tool you are going to use, is it a manual tool or the machine, the strokes is never the best option for oily skin, for sensitive skin, for super thin skin, and very often actually not for mature skin as well. And if you ever wondered, for those of you who already working with the strokes, why your works maybe doesn't look exactly the same like someone else work who is posting the work somewhere in social media, I always keep recommending you guys to check the skin type that you see the result on, because you should understand that you will only have a nice result, especially healed result, right after. It might look more or less okay on many skin types, but our goal is to have a nice healed results, right? So once you see someone's results in social media, once you see pictures, pay attention at the skin, and most likely, I'm giving you 100%, you'll see the nice work, nice strokes, nice healed results when the skin is nice. So this should give you a lot of answers to all your questions, why I'm not getting this, why I'm not getting that. When you are working on a nice smooth skin, the strokes will also heal in a nice way. If you are working on oily skin, if you are working on very thin skin, sensitive skin, skin that is almost transparent and has so many capillaries close to the skin, if you are working with the skin with the huge pores, or simply if you are working with the skin that is not healthy, the skin that is pigmented, so everything that doesn't remind you plain paper, basically. If you are working on all of the skin types I mentioned, the healed result probably won't be really nice. Why? Because on oily skin, strokes tend to connect to each other. On a thin skin, the epidermis is so thin and the capillaries are so close, so you have way more chances that your pigment is going to migrate. You have way more chances to get ashy results. You have way more chances to get the strokes that are wider, so much wider after healing. So first of all, when you are trying to decide who is a good candidate for strokes, always make sure that the skin looks really nice to you. And as better the skin is, as better the final result will be. So guys, it's very important. Then you'll be happy with the pictures you are taking. Then you will be happy with the healed results, and your clients will be happy as well. Even if they are asking you to do the strokes for them, but you clearly see that their skin type simply is not good for that, do the powder instead. It will be 100% better. It will look so much better after some time, and you won't need to waste the time fixing something during the touch-ups, endless touch-ups, when you feel that the strokes are migrated, when the strokes are blurry, or other things like that. Okay, so if you decided to draw the strokes and you think that the skin is nice, what you want to know as well is that you may connect your strokes at the very end, like this. But if you feel that the skin is nice, the skin type is nice, the pores are not huge, but it's a bit more to the oily side, instead of connecting with the very end, you still want to go towards the end of your previous stroke, but you are not connecting it at the very end. So it looks kind of similar, right? But after healing, once the strokes will become a little wider, they are not going to create those ugly dark spots, right? Which definitely we do not want after healing. Just a second, I want to read the question. If you are working with not that nice skin, nice for us, for permanent makeup artists, and for us, nice skin is a smooth skin, as small pores as possible, everything that reminds us either artificial skin or the paper. That is a nice smooth skin for us, and that skin type is going to have the best healed results. Everything that is not like that, everything with bigger pores, oily skin, sensitive skin, thin skin, like everything that doesn't remind you the skin from the cover of the magazine, then you should always do powder, just to make sure that your client will have a nice healed results, right? Okay, so again, the sebum itself, the oil inside the skin, doesn't mean that you are not going to draw, to do the strokes for your client. It might be just a little oily and you can still do the strokes, but pay attention that you want to keep a tiny distance when you are drawing your connection strokes, right? If you are working on a dry skin, on a normal skin, then it's totally fine to connect the strokes at the very end here. But if you are working with the oily skin, a little oily skin, if it's super oily, definitely don't do the strokes at all. But if it's just a little oily in the T-zone, let's say, then just to make sure that it's not going to blur together, you want to keep a tiny distance at the end. Let's move on, and I'll show you a few other things, and then we are going to draw on artificial skin. So guys, when you have your strokes, let's say in the front like that, and you want to add more strokes in between, definitely it won't look good if you are just going to add strokes in between like this. I mean, if it's clean and nice and clear and the spacing is nice, it might be okay. It depends on how many natural hair your client has actually as well. If your client has almost no natural hair, probably this kind of template is not going to work. So what you want to do instead, you want to draw a connection strokes, not the strokes in between like I just showed to you, but those connection strokes I was showing to you previously. Thank you so much, Maria. I hear you, I see you. Your support definitely means a lot to me, so I'm really thankful for all your feedback. Okay guys, so instead you want to start the stroke. If you want to add more in those bigger spaces, you want to start a little higher than your previous stroke, and you want to go and almost touch the end of the stroke and go longer. So this is how you are going to add your connection. Then another one you are going to do in the same way. You'll start a little higher than your next stroke. You want to almost touch with the end of the stroke and go longer. So one dot, another dot, and last dot. From here all the way there. And then last one, again a little higher, almost touching the end, depends on the skin type. Either you are going to touch the end or you will leave a tiny distance, and then you always want to go longer. Right? Something like this. So it will look so much better. If you are going to add more strokes this way, it will look more natural instead of just drawing the strokes like that. And if your client has a lot of natural hair, this definitely will work and it will look really natural. But it will look natural because the natural hair will go and mix with the strokes you did. So it will kind of cover the strokes you did. But if you are going to do the strokes on, let's say, alopecia client with no hair at all, definitely do something like this and try to work lower and higher and try to almost connect with every single stroke, so you will get more natural looking result. Okay guys, so how about we'll do the actual template on a paper. I'm going to show you the rainbow template on a paper, and then we'll do exact same template on artificial skin. And please, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer, and I'll know that you are listening, practicing with me, and that is actually useful for you. So again, I'm going to draw an eyebrow. I am working on a big eyebrow, so just you are able to see what I do. Something like this. But of course, once you will be practicing later on, your very first eyebrow, try to do on a big eyebrow as well, so it's more clear for you how you do it and how you add your connections. But once you will be practicing on paper later on and on artificial skin, of course try to draw on a size that will be similar to your client's size, right? Do not practice a lot on huge eyebrows or super tiny eyebrows. Try to practice on eyebrow that will remind you an actual, a real eyebrow. Okay, so what we want to do first, I want to show you that it will make a huge difference where you are going to start your first stroke. And if you want your eyebrows to be more squared in the fronts, it will help you if you are going to start a little higher from here and go up. Instead, if you are going to start lower and go inside, it will make eyebrows more oval. So we'll do one eyebrow this way and then another eyebrow I'll show you in another way. So basically for squared eyebrows, you want to start a little higher, not exactly where the shape starts, and then go all the way to the top. And for oval eyebrows, you want to start from the front and go somewhere until here, not really until the end. Actually in the exact same way like I'm going to do my second stroke. So you'll just skip the first one if you want to get more rounded eyebrows. Okay, when I do my rainbow template, I'm trying to draw the strokes and I'm following that exact same rule, especially in the front. I want to go higher, lower, so it will create more natural looking template. And if I started higher with my first one, I'm going to go lower with my second one, and with my third one, again, I'm going to start higher as well. With my third one and my first one, I'm touching the top of eyebrow. So I'm not leaving the gaps here, as once you wipe, you want to see a nice defined shape, right? And with those strokes that are starting on the lower part, you want to start exactly where your eyebrow starts. So again, you don't want to leave any gaps here, because once you wipe, you are going to miss the shape, you are going to miss the line. Then we ended with 4 strokes already, and we are going to do the rainbow template only in case we see that the actual natural hair is growing in that same way. So first of all, once you are learning different templates, make sure you understand that you should always follow the natural hair. It's definitely not about the template. If I'm showing you the rainbow template, that doesn't mean that you are going to use the rainbow template now on every single person you'll have. You should only use this kind of template, and not an actual template to be exact, but the way you are going to connect the strokes with each other. So this is why you are learning different templates, just to understand how to connect, how to make a nice transition. So once you are doing the template, let's say it's a rainbow template, you are going to adjust it a little bit to every single client, because for some clients this part from the front till here might be a bit wider or more narrow than this part. Again, the rainbow part might be more narrow or wider. Same with the tail. Some strokes may go really like that towards almost the top of the shape. Some may go really down. So always pay attention that you are following exactly what you see, and then you are adjusting the template that you are already doing. Never do the strokes, never draw the strokes. Those are not matching with the natural hair. You want to go in the exact same direction like the natural hair goes, right? Okay, so for now, I'll just imagine that this client with no hair at all has the direction I'm going to do for her. Oh, and by the way, many times students are asking what you should do when your client has no hair at all. Then it's time to use everything that you have learned when you were practicing exact template. And then it's up to you which template you are going to choose. You can do anything for that client then. But when you have here, you should always follow the natural here to get the best result out of it. Okay? Does that make any sense to you? Hopefully it does. It's so bad that I cannot hear you and you all cannot tell me yes or no or ask something, but I'll just pretend that you said yes and I'll continue. Okay, so we did the front, then every single stroke until the arch will go lower, lower, lower and lower until we get to an actual arch. What is important here is that all our strokes should be exact same length. So we are just drawing them lower, lower and lower, but we are not making them shorter. We are trying to create the exact same length for all the strokes. We are almost next to the arch, and when we are doing the rainbow template, the stroke on the arch goes exactly on the arch. So exactly on the pencil that we created, on the pencil line that we created. And then there are two ways to create the rainbow template, and I'll show you the one that might be a little bit easier, as many times students are struggling with this part. So at this point we are just going to stop with the bottom part and we will move on to the top. On the top we want to leave a bit of spacing in here, so we are not going to start right where we finished, and we are not leaving the huge spacing in between the strokes. And remember the circle again, guys, the circle that we were using in the very beginning of our lesson. We want to draw a little bit on the line and we want to go that way. And now it's a good time for you to understand how to get the nice transition. Once you are drawing the strokes, you want to imagine what will happen if you are going to extend your stroke and make it longer. This will help you to get the nice empty tunnel in here in between the lower part and the top part, so you'll have enough space to add connections inside. You don't want to go too high with the strokes on the bottom, and you don't want to go too low with the strokes on the top. Otherwise, if you are going too high with the bottom part, let's say, there won't be enough space in the middle and simply all your strokes will cross and you'll think, something doesn't work. Same thing if you are going to go too low with the top, then you are blocking that way, you are blocking that tunnel that's supposed to stay empty. And also it will be difficult for you to add more strokes inside. So make sure that the strokes on the lower part are low enough and the strokes on the top part doesn't go too low as well. So once you will finish, you'll have a nice tunnel and you will be able to add more strokes inside. So let me finish it for you and I'll explain you what I mean. Another stroke, a little bit on the line and towards the tail. So make sure you understand that you are not going all the way down here, but you want to go and stop somewhere here. The length of your strokes is always the same, remember that, and you'll stop. But if you are going to go longer, this is where the final destination will be, at the end of the tail, right? So if it's too low and you will pretend that you are extending it, it will go somewhere there, and it means that that direction is wrong. So always make sure that it goes all the way towards the tail. Then one more, and last one we'll do exactly on the shape. We have always two strokes, sometimes 3 strokes. Those are going exactly on the shape. It's the first one, depends on how we want our front to look like, the one on the arch, and the one at the very end. Those always will stay exactly where the pencil line is. Once we finish the top, let me change the color. Another advice for you is, once we are adding more strokes into this shape, we want to always start from these strokes on the top. We don't want to start here, especially if you are just a beginner and it's difficult for you to get a nice transition. If you are going to start adding strokes from this part, it will be easier for you to come back and fill in everything here in the front. So what you want to do here, remember my tip about the connections. Once I was showing you that you want to go a little higher, almost touch the end and go longer. So this rule will work anywhere, on the tail, in the front. You just need to change the direction, right? So for here, we are going to do exact same thing. We'll start a little farther. We want to almost touch the end and we want to go longer. But as we want to go longer, we do not want to go down. Always remember that our final destination is the tail. If we will go too low, we will close the way to add more strokes in between. So always pay attention that your strokes are more or less flat. So we'll go from here all the way there, right? Not down, because we still want to use this space to add even more strokes, right? Then another one, a little farther, touching the end and going longer. From here all the way there, again not down, but towards the tail. Another one, here the end of the stroke and longer. All the way there. And we don't want to just add the strokes in between. Remember, like I told you before, we don't want to add the strokes just in this way, right? Without leaving less gap in here. We want to almost connect, so it reminds us more the natural result. Then we have 2 more left in there. Now I'll change the colors again. Once we did this part, we still want to finish this section first until we'll come back to the front. So we want to start a little lower again, and here actually will be really helpful if we are going to follow these strokes, the direction of these strokes. The rainbow template is the template that reminds us that we took a brush and brush all the strokes from the front, making a nice circle towards the tail. So once we are trying to decide where we should go and how we should go in this section, just imagine that you are kind of extending this stroke that goes all the way there, so it will create that nice rainbow around. And again, we'll go a little lower. We want to touch the end and go longer, all the way there. And we still have a little bit of space, which we are going to fill in later. We don't want to go down and create a disaster on the road. So all the cars are going in that nice same way, like a floating river. Again, we are adding more from here, touching the end, going longer, and still flat without touching the end. Here we do not have that much space for more, so it will be our final stroke, and we'll go all the way to the end, and we will touch the line with our stroke. And here same thing, we don't have enough space, so we are just going to add that last one. So we finish with the very end, but we still have 2 more strokes to add, one here and another here. So from here we'll do exact same thing, a little lower. So if you look closer, you'll see that every single stroke goes farther and farther. And then again we want to go and almost touch the end, and now we finish at the end of the line. And same we do with our last spacing in here. So once we finished that, it's time to move on here and finish the front. And why it's better to do it this way? Because once you did already everything on the tail, you clearly see those empty spaces, right? The direction that looks like a rainbow, like a half of the circle, like a half moon. And that is the direction you are allowed to use, the spacing you are allowed to use for your strokes. So you don't want to cross them, right? You don't want to go somewhere up and destroy all the brushed, nice brushed look. You don't want to be that car that is not following the rules, and instead of going in the nice way, following all the cars, you don't want to go all the way up all of a sudden or all the way down all of a sudden. You want to follow those nice tunnels you previously created, and this is your actual transition. And once you are adding more strokes in here, this is the rule that you are going to use. You want to draw one stroke, and then one will be never enough in that space. You want to add another, but that another you are adding using that exact same rule, just you are starting your stroke a little farther. So you are creating, you are adding more strokes into that empty space by dividing a super long stroke in 2 shorter parts. So you want to go 1 and 2 inside that tunnel, inside that only road that you have for these 2 strokes. If you have even longer space, you may add the third one. So let's say here I have a longer space, and it won't be enough for me to do just 2 strokes. So I'm going to draw 1, another one, and third one. Then another tunnel that goes from here into here. I'm going to do exact same thing, 1 and 2. Another tunnel, 1 and 2. One more tunnel all the way here, 1 and 2. And then I have just last one space in here, so I'm going to start all the way here and finish on the line. Guys, I know it may look a bit complicated, but you should always remember that practice makes perfect, right? So as you know all the rules now, and as you'll be following the video step by step, as more times you are going to try, I promise you as easier it's going to be. And one more thing, this template, it won't work for everyone, because there will be clients with the strokes, with the natural hair that grows up. So definitely don't use this template. There will be clients, those natural hair at this part goes a little higher. Again, that's not the template for them. We are going to learn a bit different template for them during those 10 days of the marathon. And every time you see your client, always have a look what they already have and try to do your template as close as possible to the way their natural hair is growing. This will ensure you the best and the most natural result. And now guys, I want you to show exact same thing on artificial skin. And let's try and make it a bit bigger. Okay, awesome. I hope you'll be able to see. I'm going to use the nano oval needle, 18 pins, so 18 needles, and these are the nano needles. They are 0.16, and I have 18 needles in one line. First, before you start, I want to tell you a few tips how you are going to use the oval needle. I know that there are many artists who are using the this tip of the needle, the center of the needle. When I'm working with the oval needle, I'm using the side of my needle. So I work like this, not with the very tip, not with the center of the needle, but I'm holding my needles a little bit on the side and I'm using the side of my needles. I am going to put the gloves on. Guys, are you still here? I don't see any of the questions. I see that many of you are watching, and my only hope is that you are practicing and I really want to see all your examples on paper and artificial skin. But please ask questions. Let me know if something is not clear. And oh yes, of course you can ask questions under this post, under this live, wherever you see it. Just type in the comment if you have any questions. Thank you so much. Thank you. I am able to answer all your questions, so please do not hesitate to ask. And of course, I'm going to check your questions later on. If I missed something when I was explaining, definitely I'll go back and I will answer to that question. After 10 days, if you take the course, will the videos be available to me still to go back and review if needed? We are going to keep the videos for those of you who are registered to the marathon, and for those of you who are going to stay in the private group with me for the next 10 days. All the videos will be available in the group for a couple of weeks. So yes, all the videos will be recorded and you will be able to go back and view those videos again. Thank you so much, Val, for letting me know. The question is difficult to follow all the groups, so it was very helpful. Thank you. Okay guys, let's try. I have some pigment for practice. I would really recommend you to use a little thicker pigment to practice microblading on artificial skin. You don't want to use the pigment that is super liquid. Well, anyways, I really like the liquid pigments more for powder, not that much for strokes. It's very difficult to keep the pigment on the very tips of needles, so make sure you are using the pigment that is creamy consistency. You want the creamy consistency because otherwise, once you dip in a liquid pigment, it will just move up towards the end of your needles, towards the inside of your needles, and it will be difficult to implant the right amount of the pigment into the skin or artificial skin. So just make sure you understand the differences. For powder, the liquid pigment is totally fine because the cartridge will be able to suck the pigment in, but for the strokes, manual strokes, not the strokes with machine, you want to work with the creamy pigment because you want the pigment to stay on the tips. So yeah, I'm using the, not sure if you'll be able to see, I'm using the pigment for practice, and also for those of you who are working with deluxe brows pigments, they are something in the middle. They are great for both strokes and powder because they are not too liquid, and also they are not like a paste, so they will work for both. Okay guys, I want to make sure that you will see what I'm going to do. And again, don't forget how you hold your artificial skin when you are practicing, because you want to imitate how you are going to work on your client. So do not keep your artificial skin like you would actually be sitting on your client. You want to imagine that you are sitting on the side, your client is on the side, and you are working from the side. And then once you'll start practicing on your client's right side, you want to be at the back and you want to go little by little towards your previous position. Okay, let's try. So I'll do the first strokes in the front. And again, remember I told you that I'm using the side of my oval needle. For your clients, it will be very important to dip before every single stroke. For artificial skin, is not that important. You may dip and draw 2 strokes or 3 strokes, but for your clients, make sure you are dipping every single time. So as you can see, I'm going lower and higher for the front. I'll do a couple more. I am trying to twist the needle in between my fingers, so I'm not using my wrist that much. I'm trying not to use the fingers that much or my hand that much. Mostly I'm twisting my tool in between the fingers. What you want to make sure when you are working is that you want to see your needle from the left side. So once you look at the needle, you want to see it from the left side. Do not hold it like that so you don't see anything. Do not hold it like this so you don't see anything. You want to keep your needles and your tool in a way that is visible for you from your left side. And you want to draw in a very slow way. You want to spend at least 3 to 4 seconds for every single stroke. You don't want to press a lot. And when you are going to draw your strokes in a slow way, you will simply feel how every single needle is drawing the line for you. If you are going to draw in a very fast way, it will be difficult to understand the pressure. So please always draw slowly, no matter how much experience you have, no matter how good you know your template. The way you are going to draw your strokes will actually reflect on the healed results. So if you want to get a nice retention, you always want to draw in a very slow way, as slower as possible. There is no way you are going to do it too slowly. Okay guys, so when I draw, This is how I hold the tool. It goes, remember I was explaining you some time ago that I'm using the side of my oval needles. So I'm not holding it this way, not at 90 degrees, but I'm holding my tool, not the needles, my tool a little lower. So this part of my tool looks the way the stroke goes. But my needles, look at the bigger screen now, my needles are touching the skin at 90 degrees, but these are two different things. The tool, angle of the tool and angle of the needles is completely different. My tool can be either lower or higher, but you can never hold your tool on the side like you actually hold your pencil. So you will never draw this way. You don't want to draw it like it's almost flat to the skin. You want to make sure that your needles are touching the skin at 90 degrees. Otherwise, if you are not holding the needles at the right angle, you may feel that your needles start bending. You may also feel that you are not getting the nice and crisp line. And also after healing, you may see that there is some shadow under the skin on the side of your stroke. And that is when you are pushing some pigment not only into your line, but at the side as well. So no matter how low or high your tool is, just make sure that needles are touching the skin at 90 degrees. I hope that makes sense. And in case you are working with the oval needles and you see that needles are bending, you see that your lines are double or triple, definitely it's not about the needles. Do not think that you need to change the supplier or the brand and try new needles. It's only about your pressure, your angle, and how slow or fast you are drawing your strokes. So if all of that is correct, if you are doing it slowly, if you are not pressing too much, and if the angle between the skin and the needles is 90 degrees, then you definitely are going to get nice and crisp lines. And if you are not getting crisp lines, it means something is wrong with your movement, but definitely not with needles. Okay. So I will continue, and now I'm going to draw those strokes. Remember, those that are going lower and lower towards the arch. Little by little, in a very slow way, my strokes are really long. I definitely do not recommend to draw too many short strokes, because natural here is always long and never short, right? So if you want the result as natural as possible, you want your strokes to be long as well. I'll move a little bit so you'll see. Okay. Now we are leaving this part and I'm moving to the top, and I want to go a little bit on the line. I'm leaving the space between this last stroke, and I'm drawing a little bit on the line and going towards the tail. So not down, but towards the tail. Again, a little bit on the line and towards the tail, not too down. Your beginning strokes on the paper look different from the ones on artificial skin. Is it done on purpose? I think I just did more strokes in the beginning in the front than I did on a paper. So once you are drawing your strokes, just make sure you are following the natural direction. And remember, I told you that this part for some clients might be wider. What does it mean wider? You'll see more strokes that are growing up sometimes, and sometimes you will see just a couple. So if you'll see just a couple, then this is how you are going to do that. You are going to draw just 3 or 4 in the front, and then little by little all of those will go down. If you see a lot of strokes that are going still up even until here, of course you are not going to draw the strokes down from this part. You are still going to draw them the way the natural hair grow. Yep. Okay, let's move on. A little bit on the line and towards the tail. A little bit on the line and towards the tail. Then one more. And remember, the last one always goes on the line. Now, for those of you who are working manually, what I would recommend before you wipe, because of course if you are working with client that has a lot of hair, it might be difficult to add connections right after, so you'll want to wipe everything. But you may wonder what you are going to do with this spot. If you are going to wipe, you may lose it, right? So in this space you want to do a couple gentle taps like that, opposite direction, just like you want to draw some dashes, right? So once you'll wipe, you'll actually see still your shape. You are not going to lose the shape, and you won't need to worry about it then. And now, if you feel that you don't see and you are not able to add the connections, because maybe your pigment is a bit different, maybe there are more hairs in some parts and it's difficult for you to see, so you want to wipe before you will proceed with more strokes. So you can see those tiny dashes, and those dashes, of course, they are super light. They won't stay on the skin after healing, but they are showing you the direction that you are going to follow when you are adding more strokes, right? Okay, let's move on. Now I'm going to add my connection strokes starting from all of these, and I'll go and finish the whole tail, and only then I'll come back and add more strokes in the front. So you want to start a little lower and go a little longer. Again, little lower, almost touching the end, and go longer. I hope you'll see this way. Yeah, okay, so a little bit and then going longer. Little bit, going longer. And last one, that will touch the end of the line. Now it's up to you. You can wipe if you cannot clearly see the ends of your strokes, or you can continue. So let's say you are wiping, and then we are going to do exact same thing lower. We are going to add one more step below. We'll start a little lower here, almost touch the end, and go longer. little lower here, almost touch the end and go longer. Same here. I will already touch my line because there won't be enough space for more, and I will add a tiny one at the end. I will wipe again. And adding more in that space. So my tail is done already, as you can see. There is no place to add more, but I still have empty space here. So again, a little lower, almost touching, and longer. And I will still have space for the fifth one. In here probably will be my last one. And I will wipe for you again. And I'm going to add one more in here. Okay, so once the tail is done, I'll just add a little bit more pigment here. Once the tail is done, we are ready to fill in all the front part, the whole rainbow. We clearly see the direction now, right? So it's easier for us to draw. What I will recommend you, if it's difficult for you to see, if you are using the markers, and we do have, well, this is the black one. I'll show you with the black one, but it will be easier if you could use the brown one, or I can show you with the red one. So this is the direction that connects these strokes together, right? Can you see that? So these are those tunnels, those you are going to use to create a nice transition. And it will be very useful if you are going to use the marker and actually draw those dots on your client's skin. Of course, you need to use the disposable marker, but it will be super useful if you are going to mark it for yourself, so you'll know exactly that you cannot go higher or lower, that you don't want to cross, right? Okay, so let's do a couple more strokes in here, and remember, I'm doing the double stroke, one and another one inside. Then in that second tunnel, one and another one inside. Then the third tunnel, one and second. And if you have a longer space, you may add the third one into that section. Just make sure they are touching a little bit at the end, if the skin type allows you that, right? If the skin type is oily, you don't want to touch at the end. Guys, let me know. Does that make any sense to you? I'm just adding a couple. Last one, and we will be ready to wipe, and we'll make some adjustments. Okay, so what I like to do at the very end, definitely you will be checking your strokes, and you may think maybe I need to add some strokes here or there, what I do instead of adding the strokes, I like to extend the strokes instead. So in those tiny spaces like here, instead of adding more, I'm just going to go on top of it and I will make it longer. And I'll do it in all those tiny spaces where I think I need more. So I'm not adding additional strokes, pay attention to that. I am just extending the strokes here and there, already existing strokes. Of course, when you are extending the strokes, don't forget to think to keep the same direction. So again, you don't want to cross, you don't want to go too low, and you also want to extend these strokes here just a little bit, but it will make a difference. Guys, if you are asking questions now, I just want to let you know that I don't really see them right now, but once I'll finish, I'll check your comments and I will answer your questions. Now, for those of you who are asking about the second pass, I usually do 2 to 3 passes on almost all skin types, but I like to work only on a nice and a smooth skin when I do the strokes. I'm not really doing the strokes for sensitive skin, oily skin, all the skin types that I know that I'm not going to get the nice result. Simply, I'm not going to do that at all. And then in that case, 2 to 3 passes are enough. If you are working with more difficult skin, you definitely want to do more passes, because sometimes 2 passes might not be enough. But pay attention that you understand that the second pass is when you are adding more pigment into that same existing line. You don't want to go any deeper with your passes. You are just adding more pigment. So that's very important. That's what it means when you are adding, when you are going over and over and over. You are not going deeper. And for those of you who are asking, like, if I'm going to do 3 passes or 4 passes, my stroke will end up wider and deeper. Definitely you shouldn't do that. You don't want to go deeper with every single pass. You just want to add more pigment into that same line. This is what you want to do. Okay, so now I'll just mask it over. Maybe in some places it wasn't enough of color, and then we'll wipe and we'll see how it looks like. Let me go back to you. What I'm using to wipe the skin, I'm using 91% of alcohol. It works the best to wipe the skin. I do not use anything else. 91% of alcohol is just perfect for me, and I like using it the most. There are people who are using some ointments or oil or any other stuff. For me, alcohol works the best. But you know, guys, to be honest, it really depends what kind of pigment you are using. there will be some pigment that will stay the artificial skin and actually the real skin as well a lot. So if we are talking about what you use to wipe with when you are working on a client, definitely the green soap will help you if your pigment stains the skin a lot. Okay, I just want to show it to you a little closer. It looks a bit strange from that distance. Oh, maybe I'll change it like that. Yeah, something like this. It looks a little darker than it actually is. Yeah, here. Okay, so I'll just leave it like that. That is the rainbow template with the transition we previously discussed, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. We are going to work on more different templates on paper and artificial skin. We are going to discuss machine templates and the shading. For those of you who joined the marathon and for those of you who are going to stay with me for the rest of the days, for 9 more days, make sure you have a lot of artificial skin as we are going to practice a lot, and don't forget that there will be a competition, and hopefully you are going to participate, and we are going to choose some winners with the best work. I will go now and try to answer your questions. Just a second, I think we have too many of the questions in comments. Yeah, Jade, I really like how the hustle butter smells. It's really nice, but to be honest, you know what I don't like about everything that is like a butter actually, it's because still after that you want to use something else on top. Why? Because it will be slippery, it will be glossy, it will be sticky, so that's why for me 91% of alcohol works the best. And yeah, that's why I don't like to use the oil or any other things. And 70% of alcohol won't clean the skin that nice, definitely. So make sure it's 91 if you want to get that clean result. But again, no matter what are you using, it also will depend on the pigment. If you are using the pigment that stains the skin and artificial skin the most, more, then it will stay a little bit on artificial skin as well. For clients, I like to use green soap, definitely, and a little bit of any of the aftercare creams. So I'm using the Deluxe Brows Nutri Cream. I'm just applying a little bit all over eyebrows and I'm wiping with the green soap. But I usually do that only at the end. During the treatment, I only use either saline or green soap. Okay, I'll try to check your questions. No, definitely not. I'm not using the alcohol on the clients, girls. I only use 91% when I practice on artificial skin. Definitely don't use alcohol on your clients. For clients, just use green soap or saline. Okay guys, so I hope you enjoyed it. I'll try to go over your questions and answer your questions in comments later on. We actually spent a little bit more time than I was expecting, as it's almost 2 hours since we started, but hopefully it was helpful. All other days we'll spend around the same time. I was planning about 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. If you would like to join the marathon, there is a link in this post you are watching, so just click on the link and you'll see all the instructions and all the details. The marathon is going to last for 10 days, including this day. We are going to have live sessions every single day, about 1.5 hours per session, and we are going to have international artists joining us. They are going to share with us their patterns as well. We are going to have Monika Ibani and Angie Kvetkovsky. So for those of you who want to learn their templates, Angie is going to show us the eyeliner template, and Monika is going to show her signature hair strokes template, and this all is going to happen during those 10 days, and today was the first day. I was sharing you this day, so hopefully all of you who are not able to join enjoyed it with me, and I'll be happy to hear your feedback. I'll be happy to answer your questions. And yeah, thank you so much for staying all those 2 hours with me. I hope it was helpful, and if you feel that it was helpful, definitely let me know, and I'm going to do more videos like that. So thank you so much guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.